We're going to talk about some numbers coming up now. Brand new Fox News Latino polls out today show Donald Trump is in big trouble among Hispanic voters. Rival Hillary Clinton holding a commanding lead, and we're going to take a closer look at these numbers. Brian Yanis joins us live from our New York City newsroom with more on what they mean for Donald Trump. Brian?
Hi, Jenna. Well, look, Donald Trump's support among Latino registered voters has dropped over the past 3 months. There has been a 7-point swing in favor of Hillary Clinton. Mrs. Clinton now has a 46-point lead among Hispanic voters, 66% to Trump's 20%, according to a new Fox News Latino.com poll. That is up from a 39-point lead she had in May. In fact, in a 3-person race, Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson is virtually tied with Trump among Latinos, 17% to 16%. 4 out of 5 Hispanic voters now have an unfavorable view of Mr. Trump. Just 15% of Latinos view him favorably. That's down 8 points since May. Meantime, despite that FBI investigation, Hillary Clinton's unfavorable numbers remain unchanged at 41%. Clinton made the biggest gains with Hispanic voters over the last 3 months on 2 key issues: the economy and terrorism, both issues Trump considers his strengths. But this lack of Hispanic support could have big implications for Mr. Trump. With Arizona and Georgia now considered toss-ups, the stakes for Trump are even higher to win in the battleground state of Florida. For years, Republicans counted on conservative Cuban Americans to help swing the Sunshine State. But since 2002, the Puerto Rican population there has doubled to more than 1 million, and according to the Pew Research Center. And so this bodes well for Hillary Clinton, because according to our poll, Puerto Ricans favor her more than any other Hispanic demographic.
The Hispanic vote is a swing vote, and it swings in different ways. In Florida, they have gone Republican and they have gone Democrat, and that's also what they've done nationally. They're not an automatic vote like other groups are.
Well, George W. Bush won about 40% of the Hispanic vote, but for years it's been thought that is the key number to win the White House. Right now, Trump is at 20%. Mitt Romney had 27%. Of course, this is an unconventional election, so who knows what it all mean, really, Jenna.
We just put the facts out there, and we'll see which way the chips fall.
Exactly.
Brian, thank you.
No problem.
It's the media, folks. They are so dishonest. There's nothing so dishonest. This is a movement like they maybe have never seen in this country, according to even the political pundits that truly hate me. Though the media doesn't want to talk about it, we've done something, we, all of us together. I'm a messenger. I'm only a messenger. Hillary Clinton made repeated false statements to the media. When I watched the interview that she did on Fox, I said, boy, this is going to be a massive, massive scandal. And nothing happened. Then 3 days later, it was like a delayed. If I ever did that interview, they would have me terminate my run. In my opinion, the press is an extension of Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, and that's what's going on, and people see it.
Donald Trump blasting the media for negative coverage of his campaign. There has been a series of missteps that have really captured the media's attention and turned the spotlight away from the very real controversy surrounding Hillary Clinton. Judy Miller, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and author, Cal Thomas, syndicated columnist, both Fox News contributors here on this Friday. Nice to see you both.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Judy, you think about this. I think reasonable people could agree that Donald Trump has had a pretty bad 2 weeks, whether it be in media coverage or just out on the campaign trail. New head-to-head battleground polls from the Wall Street Journal, NBC, Marist coming out. Hillary Clinton +5 in Florida. Look down. Clinton +14 in Colorado, +9 in North Carolina. Clinton +13 in Virginia. Is this causation, meaning the media is really beating Trump down in the polls, Judy, or is this correlation that these things are just happening to happen at the same time?
I think the polls reflect the growing disenchantment among voters who, or potential voters who had not been paying attention until now to the 2 candidates who have emerged as their party's nominee. Look, we pay attention to everything, every mistake, every false move, every outrageous statement. But ordinary voters do not, and nor should they, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. But once they do, and they listen to Donald Trump and they watch him and they see the kind of 2 weeks that he's had, in which he's not only gone out of his way to be ambiguous about whether or not he thought it was a good idea for Second Amendment gun owners to perhaps take matters into their own hands and assassinate a sitting president.
Well, he didn't use the words assassinate. He simply said that maybe Second Amendment people could do something about it. I don't think everybody who believes in the Second Amendment is going to head out with their pitchforks.
Leland, this is vintage Trump. You can hear in Donald Trump what you want to hear, and what the mainstream media have heard, and this is where Cal may say it's unfair, what they have heard is a kind of call to arms. I think if you just go back and look at everything that Donald Trump has said since the beginning of this campaign, there's so much ammunition, so many of his wounds are self-inflicted, and the same can be said, by the way, of Hillary Clinton.
And that's where I wanted to go with Cal. The same can be said of Hillary Clinton, but we don't hear about it on repeat in the way that we do about Donald Trump. You look at the media coverage of the past week or so of Hillary Clinton, haven't heard a huge amount about the pay-to-play emails and the Judicial Watch emails that came out. Omar Mateen, the Orlando gunman's father, was seated behind Hillary Clinton at a rally, and it was a 2-hour story. Cal, is there a double standard between Trump and Clinton?
Well, of course, Leland. I mean, the question is almost rhetorical, but to quote Hillary Clinton in another context, what difference does it make? If Republicans don't understand that in every election cycle, the media are going to take the side of the Democrats, then they don't understand anything. Their problem is, and Trump's problem is, they haven't figured out a way around it. Trump continues to focus on his personality rather than policy. Look, if you jump into a lion cage, you can't blame the lion for eating you. And Trump throws all this red meat out at the journalists, and he's inviting them to attack him.
So Judy, does Cal have a point that if Trump all of a sudden just stuck to reading the teleprompter like he did on Monday during that economy speech, that suddenly the focus of the media would become more balanced? I mean, your publication, your former publication, the New York Times, even admitted, their media critic writing that journalists have become, quote, closer than they've ever been to being oppositional towards Donald Trump, almost justifying their really unfair coverage.
No, I don't think he was justifying it. Jim Rutenberg wrote a very provocative and interesting story about the problem that reporters, as opposed to us commentators, are having trying to be, quote, objective about a man who has made so many false statements, what PolitiFact calls pants on fire lies. How do you handle a candidate like that? And yes, it is absolutely true that most of the mainstream media consider themselves liberal and don't like Donald Trump.
Judy,
but when as Gal said,
Judy, couldn't you say the same thing about how do you handle Hillary Clinton? This is a woman who lied repeatedly about whether classified emails were on her server or not, has had a very difficult relationship with the truth, and hasn't held a real press conference with journalists who are covering her on a day-to-day basis in 250 days.
Absolutely true. And when this new batch of 44 emails was released showing her top aides involved in helping friends from her husband and her foundation that she promised she was going to separate herself from, that should be a news story. Now, there's nothing linking her specifically to any of these emails or any decision that she made at the State Department. But there's no doubt that these would be receiving more press if Donald Trump didn't stop getting in the way of the stories that would hurt her. But he does. The focus always has to be on him.
And you think about that story involving the emails. There have been a couple of journalists who have gone toe-to-toe with the State Department spokesman there in the past couple of days at the briefing. Take a listen.
You don't feel like there was impropriety in the relationship between the Clinton Foundation and the State Department?
We talked to a wide range of people at my level, at various levels.
Has the department looked into this and determined that there was no impropriety?
The department is regularly in touch with people across the whole spectrum.
That's not the question. I'm sorry. Am I not speaking English? The question is whether or not you've determined that there was nothing improper here.
Cal, so if Judy was right, and is Judy right that if Trump stops sort of saying these things that give red meat, in your words, to the lions, would all of a sudden the mainstream media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, put their investigative reporters on these issues at the State Department rather than us having to dig up this clip?
Well, you can't you can't do the hypothetical. Probably not, but they would be more likely to, I think, if Trump focused on the policy. Look, let's just take a look at her speech yesterday in Michigan. She basically recycled Democrat talking points that President Obama used in 2008 when he was running against her. Shovel-ready jobs, more infrastructure, investment, which is another word for big government spending. Trump could take all of that apart and point out that this hasn't worked in the last 8 years. Even Joe Biden said, well, I guess all those jobs weren't shovel-ready when they didn't show up. That's what he needs to focus on instead of personality.
He's got 2 rallies coming up later today, then heads to Connecticut. Cal, Judy, we'll see what he has to say that we can all weigh in on coming up. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Leon.
All right.